In this video, we're going to continue working on section 5.2. In this video, we're going to be looking at problems where we're multiplying polynomials by other polynomials, which means that both things that are multiplied have more than one term. And when we're doing this kind of multiplication, we need to multiply everything in the first set of parentheses by everything in the second set of parentheses. And I'm going to show you a couple of different ways that you can use to keep track of what you're multiplying, because the common way to make a mistake here is to forget one of the terms because there's so many things that need to be multiplied. So I'm going to start by multiplying the 3x by each of the three terms in the second set of parentheses. So that's going to give me 3x to the third plus 12x squared plus 15x. Now I'm going to multiply 7 by everything in the second set of parentheses. And when I do this, I'm going to line like terms up vertically. So I'm going to have 7 times x squared. I'm going to write that below the other x squared term. So that makes it really easy to combine things because you just add the columns. And then I'm going to have 7 times 4x, that's going to be plus 28x, and 7 times 5 is plus 35. There's no just number terms here in the first top row, so I just write the 35 by itself because it doesn't have anything to combine with from that row. Now I just add things vertically, so that's going to give me 3x to the third. 12 plus 7 is 19, x squared. 15 plus 28 is 43, x, and then plus 35. So this is my answer for the first one. Next, you should do checkpoint problem number 3 in your notes. When you're done, you can move on with the rest of the video. Next, we're going to look at example 4. This is the same type of problem as example 3, but I'm going to show you another method of doing it and helping you keep track of all of your multiplying. So this is called the box method, and it's called that because you draw a box. So I'm going to draw my box here. Now what you do is you label the sides of the box with the terms from the set of parentheses. So I'm going to label the first set of parentheses along the vertical side of the box. Each term gets one box, so 2x squared y plus 3y. And then along the horizontal side, I'm going to label the terms from the second set of parentheses. If there's a negative sign in front, you need to keep that as well. So this is minus 4x squared y, and this is plus y. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply the two sides of each smaller box within the box, and the answer I'm going to write inside. So for this, it's going to be 2 times 5 is 10, x to the 4th times x squared is 6, y times y is y squared. Then I'm going to repeat that process, writing everything in the box when I multiply the two sides. So this is going to be 5x to the 4th y times 3y. 5 times 3 is 15, x to the 4th, and then y times y is y squared. So this one is going to be negative 8. Make sure that you keep negative signs. This is going to be minus 12x squared y squared. This is going to be 2x squared y squared. Positive, and then this is going to be positive 3y squared. Now, what I'm going to do is add everything in the boxes together. And if there are like terms, I'm going to want to combine them. A lot of times, like terms will appear along diagonals. Not always, but a lot of the time. So if I look at this, I see that these terms both have x to the 4th y squared, and I see that these two terms both have x squared y squared, so they can be combined. So 10x to the 6th y squared doesn't have anything to combine with. 15 plus negative 8 is going to be plus 7 x to the 4th y squared. Negative 12 plus 2 is going to be negative 10 x squared y squared, and then I have plus 3y squared. So you should do checkpoint problem number 4 in your notes, and then move on with the rest of the video when you're done with that. Next, we're going to look at the FOIL method. FOIL is for multiplying things with two terms by other things with two terms. So we can't use FOIL on the problems that we just did because we had one set of parentheses had 3 terms. So I'm going to have one set of parentheses with 2 terms, one set of parentheses with 2 terms. And FOIL is just a way to remember to make sure that you're multiplying everything, similar to the box method and the lining things up vertically method, where you're just trying to make sure that you're not leaving anything out. So FOIL stands for first, outside, inside, and last. So when I multiply these two things together, ax times cx is going to be a times c times x squared. Then we're going to have outside a times d times x, inside b times c times x, and last is going to be b times d. So F, O, I, L. So we're going to look at example 5. There's actually 3 problems in example 5, and we're going to use FOIL here to multiply these out. So for the first one, x plus 3 times x plus 2, first gives me x squared. Then we're going to do outside 2 times x plus 2x. Then we're going to do inside plus 3 times x. And then we're going to do last 2 times 3 plus 6. Now, a lot of times what will happen with these is that you're going to get some like terms that can be combined. And so plus 2x plus 3x, I can add those together and get plus 5x. So there's usually multiplication and addition involved in these problems. And so you kind of have to keep track of what operation it is that you're doing. For part B, same thing, 3x times x is 3x squared. We're going to have minus, when we do outside, minus 3 times 2 is negative 6xy, plus 5xy for the inside, and then minus 10y squared for the last. Again, we have the middle 2 terms that can combine, so we have 3x squared. Minus 6xy plus 5xy is going to be minus 1xy, or you can just write it without the 1, minus xy, which is probably what you will want to do on the homework. Because sometimes if you, as you may have seen, if you put extra 1s in there that aren't required, my math lab doesn't really like that. So that's the answer for part B. And then part C, when we multiply 5x to the 3rd times 4x to the 3rd, remember we're adding exponents, so that's going to be 20x to the 6th. Then we're going to have for outside minus 5x to the 4th. Remember adding exponents, and this is like an automatic 1. And then inside is going to be minus 24x to the 3rd. And last, negative times negative is plus 6x. So be careful with that. Now in this case, I don't have any like terms that can combine because they all have different exponents. I have x to the 6th, x to the 4th, x to the 3rd, x by itself. So if there's no like terms that can be combined, then this is just going to be my answer. So you should do checkpoint 5 problems in your notes. Check your answers with the notes that are posted, and then you can move on to the last example in the video. So the last thing that we're going to talk about in this section is squaring binomials. And so what this means is that when I have something written, binomial means it has two terms. So two terms in parentheses. It could be just numbers, variables, both, whatever. A plus B. If I square that, then what I have to do is remember that squaring means that you're multiplying something by itself. So a plus b squared is the same as a plus b times a plus b. Then I would use FOIL on this, and that would give me a squared plus ab plus ab plus b squared. Combine the two terms in the middle, and that's going to be 2ab. Now, what you can't do, this is a very common misconception, is that people think that you can just distribute the squared. So people would say, okay, well, if I have a plus b squared, just put the squared on that, just put the squared on that, it's a squared plus b squared. Now that's not the right answer because I'm missing this plus 2ab term. It doesn't appear here if I try and do it this way. Distributing is a property of multiplication, and it only works if something is multiplied by a set of parentheses, not if a set of parentheses has an exponent on it. You can't distribute the exponent. So these are not equal. So we're going to look at example 6. There's a couple of problems here. The book shows kind of using a formula and plugging in. I don't really like to teach it that way because I think that it makes it kind of unnecessarily complicated because now you're trying to remember a formula and it doesn't need to be that way. So what I would recommend is to just say, okay, if something is squared, that means it's multiplied by itself, and now I can just use FOIL on that. So x plus 5 squared is x plus 5 times x plus 5. And then use FOIL first, outside, inside, last, and then combine like terms. So this is going to be x squared plus 10x plus 25. Part B is similar. It's just slightly more complicated here because they both have variables. But again, I'm just going to write 3x plus 2y times 3x plus 2y because it's 3x plus 2y multiplied by itself 2 times. Then when I use FOIL, I get 9x squared plus 6xy plus 6xy plus 4y squared. And again, combine the like terms. So my answer is 9x squared plus 12xy plus 4y squared. So you should do checkpoint problem number 6 in your notes. When you're finished with that, check your answer with the notes that are posted and then move on to the homework for this part of the section.